Marhaba and hello once again to our friends, brothers, and sisters around the world who take an interest and perhaps even take an active interest in the issue of the Palestinian people, millions of whom have been living under Israeli apartheid for decades now. My friend Muhammad Ismael is with us again. We've had about 15 programs now. He lives in Deir el-Balah, part of the Gaza territory. We've got to know each other over the past few years, and we are trying in our humble way to keep discussion of the Palestinians' issues and fate alive because there is such a moribund state of things coming from the principal players, let's put it that way. So, Mohammed, please, how are you today? Say hello. You have a beautiful family, a lovely wife, three beautiful children, and we are always talking about them besides your historical work and political involvement. So, anything you'd like to share right up front today? And also ask you to introduce the audience to how you and I met. How did we meet?
I am good, brother. Also, my family is good. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thanks a lot for all the people who are watching us. To speak about our meeting, how we knew each other, I think this dates back to 2020, 2 years ago. Uh, I were searching through Google about some references about the people of the sea and the Minoans and their effect on the Levant and especially on Palestine. And the first result I saw on Google was your novel, which was a piece of fiction, but based strongly on a history and on historical facts. It was very, very, very brilliant novel, and right now I consider it my first reference. I consider it my first reference. Maybe it's not like academic book, but I learned so many information and historical facts from this interesting book or this interesting novel. After that, I used to write a message for you through Messenger. Maybe when I wrote the message, my hope was not strong that I will get any kind of response. I told myself I will throw this message, but I am not optimistic that one day the writer Jack Dempsey could come back to me and write me a response. But after maybe some weeks, you wrote me a kind reply. You gave me more information and more references through your website on WordPress. You used to lead me. You took my hand to this website on WordPress, and of course, I found an extra information on your website. So by this way, I think we knew each other.
Just to give people the real essence of things, the ancient Minoans were the longest, most peaceful, rapidly advancing phase of Western civilization on record still. I've spent 40 years studying them, trying to understand them, and wrote a book in 1996 called Ariadne's Brother, a novel on the fall of Bronze Age Crete. What happened to these incredibly amazing people? The second half, well, they were conquered, they were knocked over by a major volcanic eruption and eventually occupied and colonized. But in the wake of that disaster, a lot of them migrated all over the Mediterranean map, including to places in the Near East, such as Gaza, Ascalon, Ashdod, Dor, Ekron, on and on. And they built another very successful civilization that they, using a tribal name, came to call Palestine. So Muhammad and I came together around this subject, and we've been exchanging information ever since. And I just want to say, for me, as a 40-year and more writer on these subjects, it was the greatest honor I've had to actually hear from a Palestinian person, an inheritor of the great legacy of culture and history that comes in Gaza. And the Gaza, if you would like to know, represents a key point geographically because it's the head of the spice road coming from the east, and it's the main port for the southern Mediterranean. So this was an ideal place for people like the Minoans and eventually the Palestinians of Gaza and other cities to make a whole new life for themselves. And ever since, the land has borne that name. So again, Muhammad and I came together around this, and I got to know something of, well, his family, beautiful people, and the conditions under which they live, which are horrible, to say the least. Muhammad, we're beginning from scratch today because we have a special announcement that we're going to do a project together that could help other people also to get directly, and I mean directly, involved with helping Palestinians, besides writing to their own governments to demand changes in policy that will help them. But could you give people an idea of what daily life is like there, the kinds of things you do not have that the whole rest of the world does? What's life
Of
like
course,
there every day in Gaza?
yeah, of course, our life is based totally on hardship and suffering. We haven't the basic means of life. Always we have a crisis in the gas, natural gas. Of course, the biggest crisis is in the electricity. 70 to 75% of each day and night, we haven't electricity. We have a total darkness. Most of our nights, we sleep them and we stay them in total darkness. We used to live on some candles, some batteries, etc. Also, our water is not clean at all. It is totally polluted. Even if you want to buy clean and purified water, you have to pay a big amount of money.
And the
It's not a cheap.
sewage, the sewage system and the water treatment and cleaning plants have been bombed out of operation. So that does not even allow you to help yourselves. Shortages of
Exactly.
medicine, the whole landscape is a bombed out ruin. You are under total blockade. You are on a diet whose calories are set by the Israeli government. If they allow 250 trucks into Gaza a day with food and supplies, this means that 2.5 million people, or 12,000 people per truck, have to get their daily nourishment. It's not possible, of course. So it is a slow starvation-based destruction of the Palestinian population living in Gaza under lock and key now for, is it 15 years?
Yeah, yeah. Also, let me show some other kinds of suffering. Also, here our health sector is totally collapsed. We haven't enough medicine in the pharmacies. We haven't a good health care in the hospitals. If you have a chronic disease, you have to decide whether to travel to Egypt or to West Bank or to Jordan or even to Israel if they can allow you to go through borders. So here in Gaza, you haven't any kind of uh, uh, good health sector. So you have to suffer a lot. Even if you want to buy the medicine here is very expensive, unfortunately.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, very
yes,
expensive. And now there have been a lot more suicides than even before. There is a COVID epidemic for which there is a tremendous shortage of vaccination materials, while 100% of the Israeli population is totally vaccinated. And your
yeah,
children, who are very
yeah,
young, though, they have never known freedom. They have never known any other life than this. And you cannot leave. You cannot even get yourself out of there if you tried.
yeah. 100% of the Israelis are vaccinated, but on the other hand, less than 30% of the Palestinian people of Gaza are
Mhm.
vaccinated. So more than 70% are not vaccinated right now.
And this is one of the most crowded, if not the most crowded human landscapes on the planet. 2.5 million people. And Gaza is what? The territory, 350 miles, 350 square miles, something like that.
No, no, 360 kilometers.
Okay. So that's
Yeah.
not much bigger when you think about 2.5 million people living in very close proximity and no medicines or vaccinations to help them out. All these issues, Muhammad, lead or have led me through our friendship as I've been hearing about what life has been like. I mean, 2 weeks ago, two programs ago, your house was shaking from Israeli bombing raids in which they're what the military calls bouncing the rubble. They're bouncing the already destroyed structures in order to terrorize and terrify people. So, well, my wonderful wife and I, who live here in Crete now for 7.5 years, we've been looking for a long time for a way to help the Palestinians and our brothers, whom we consider our brothers and sisters. And there are also many, as I mentioned, ancient connections between the Palestinian people and Crete. And there are many people here who also want to help. And I know there are many around the world. But what's the most effective way? Well, one, you must take 5, 10 minutes and write to your own government and demand that they stop support for Hamas, for the PA, the Palestinian Authority, and for Israeli apartheid. Because these, plus oligarchs who add taxes and illegitimate charges onto every bit of supply that the people need, are in control of a situation that is going nowhere. The world cannot expect the Palestinian people to settle for being told that their lives are now over and a dead end, and we have no plan to let you out of your cage at all. How can we do something? First, as I mentioned, is to write your own government every way you can and demand changes that bring about a Palestinian solution. The second is this: Muhammad and I have been making weekly or bi weekly videos discussing some of these issues, sharing history and culture about the Palestinians. But we learned that Muhammad's young family is growing. They live right now in a single room in a house in Deir el Bala, and they wanted or need to add two more rooms at least to their home just by simple add on building with concrete and so forth. So we looked into, at Muhammad's suggestion, a GoFundMe project, but it became so complicated and there were so many bankers and organizations involved, all who have their hand out to take a percentage of whatever it is that you raise. I understand they're a business, okay, but there must be a more direct way. And then bang, it struck the both of us. Why don't we just do this together? My wife and I have been very fortunate. I come from an ordinary middle class home, but we had to sell that many years ago because I, with a PhD from Brown University, could not make it in the American economy. And that's why I'm here. But we had enough extra to think about what we offered to Muhammad, and that was you estimate for two rooms you need $4,000. We said we will make that $5,000 if you can find contractors who will make you three rooms for that price. And he did. So we have begun to fund the expansion, modest expansion of Muhammad's home so that they can live like human beings, the five of them and their extended family. Now, I'm going to hand it over to Muhammad very quickly, but the most urgent thing that we hope people will understand is that you yourself can do this. For the first year or so of our contact, we were sending about, I think, 200 a month, $200 a month, so that Muhammad's young baby daughters would have milk to drink because otherwise they could not afford it. They have also a very strong need for vitamins and medicines to make life less painful, you might say, and to help them get well. So after that, we sent maybe 100 a month just to help with medicines and small needful things that they asked us about. So we found that just using Western Union, the old transfer of money global service, has been the way to establish a very direct connection with Muhammad. They charge a small percentage for each transfer, but it's directly from us to Muhammad's family. There's no other outsiders involved. And if you found $50 a month or 100 a month to help some Palestinian family acquire the medicine, foodstuffs, and other things that they need just to survive in Gaza, then you can arrange that. Muhammad would be happy to introduce you in a personal connection way with Palestinian families and citizens, and they would be able to get to know you as we have done. And you too could determine what you wanted to do in terms of helping them. But it's direct, and you see the results of your help right away. These people feel it all the time, and I can't describe a more grateful and needful people that otherwise the world is ignoring right now. So, Mohammed, let me stop talking and we'll go on to some further solutions. But anything you'd like to add about activism, ways to help the Palestinians? And what about when the, let's say, if they do run BDS against Hamas and the Palestinian Authority, the Palestinians, ordinary people, would not be hurt by that because those governments do nothing now for the Palestinian people, correct?
Yes, brother. I have like a word, and I want to say it to the people who are watching us. I hope if all the good people around the world make some sort of embargo or non-cooperation or boycott for any kind of financial work or cooperation with BA and Hamas. All of them are corrupted people. They are big thieves. The simple people who are suffering in the slums, in the narrow slums of refugee camps, doesn't receive any kind of help, doesn't receive any one single cent. Thank you, brother, for your clarification. I hope if all people can help Palestinians by this way, from family to family, through Western Union, through any other way. Uh, this I think by this way we can achieve the zero corruption status. We can achieve the zero corruption status. So the Western or the foreign family can fund the Palestinian family without any kind of corruption. So no one can cut any part of this money. So
That's
I
what
hope.
we're
Yeah,
doing.
exactly, brother. Exactly. I hope if all the people are going to imitate us and do this, when they send money to our governments, to our politicians, directly they use to send this money to outside, to the banks outside in Europe, in Turkey, in Gulf countries, in Egypt, etc. So directly, the money fly from Palestine to the banks
Yes,
in the worldwide.
yes,
So
yes.
I hope if all people are doing like us to deal from family to family. Yeah.
And so that contact as well would both be a friendship across political lines that could help to show that the Palestinians are people who are deserving of a life, whereas now they have nothing but a literal dead end under the apartheid regime of Israel, which has no motive to change. Secondly, to withdraw support from Hamas and the PA would topple them eventually because, as you've said many times, for many reasons, they do nothing or worse than nothing for the Palestinian people, and therefore they have no support. They would not politically last, you've said, 3 months without outside support and without robbing people who are already prostrate with poverty. So this is a way, again, that families could connect with each other. It's direct, it's a clean transfer, and you can see the daily, monthly, and even yearly results of your help. It's immediate, and it's exactly what they need. Okay, so one other thing we just like people to know for today is that we're going to be publishing photographs before, during, and after the building and improvements on Muhammad's house. And these will include his children, beautiful kids, and he's doing most of the work himself with a few local artisans and craftsmen. And we're going to do that at a place called Jack Dempsey Writer at WordPress.com. Jack Dempsey Writer at WordPress.com. We'll be posting a lot of these photos beginning in the next week or so. And we really hope people will come and visit and, well, share the adventure and feel inspired to reach out to us. We'll have all kinds of means to contact us, published there and with the video here today. So, Muhammad, again, I'd just like to, well, thank you. I can only tell the world that I've had many enriching experiences in my life. I was for many years involved in the Big Brothers program and things like that. And the challenges of them were always instantly rewarded with the strong, good human feelings that you can get when you help somebody out that never expected you to. So, knowing Muhammad, this has been one of the greatest things of my whole life because it teaches me, you know what? I have no problems. I have no problems. These are the people that have problems, and it's not of their own doing. Their governments, their leaders are in the way. They will not even allow new elections for new blood and new ideas and approaches to come forth into the political arena. And Muhammad and his beautiful family live as captives of this. Their original village was called Shafir in the middle country of Israel, Palestine. That was 74 years ago, 74 years of exile. His family were driven into the Gaza refugee camps. They managed by one scrabble and another to survive, to make lives for themselves. And then the political bungling around them resulted in the closing of Gaza's borders. So they've been trapped in there for, I think, going on 15 years. This must change. This must end. Muhammad, it's all yours.
Yeah, thank you, brother, so much for this clarification. I think today you gave people some good explanation about how is our suffering here in Palestine, especially in Gaza. And I hope again, if people just try to write to their parliament members, to their representatives, to their government ministers, etc., just to write them some petitions explaining how much we are suffering, and how much all the world attention is taken to Ukraine, and no one is looking to Gaza, especially during the recent months. No one is looking to us. I hope if people are making the attention again to Gaza. Also, before we finish, I hope if the families used to help the Palestinian families directly from family to family without mediator in the half, without this big thief
Yes,
who rob the money and smuggle it outside Palestine
that's right.
to the banks. I hope
Yep.
I hope, brother, if people are going to imitate us and doing exactly like what we did.
Yes, and I'd like to add one note to that too, just to, well, reassure people. I've known Muhammad for, I think it's over 2 years. It must be, but going on three. But first,
Yeah, yeah.
look, he will help you connect with Palestinian people directly via Zoom like this. You get to know them over time. You don't send anything off the bat. You get to satisfy yourself that these are real people, honest people who need our help and are not going to get it from anybody else until we start to take action. So don't worry about, well, where is my money going? How will I see the proof of it? You'll get it. You'll have it. You'll see it. You'll talk with them weekly and find out where exactly this is going. Here's a jar of medicine I just bought. Here's what it costs in the States, and here's what it costs in Gaza. forget about it. They're being destroyed. But with a little bit of help from individual American, Western, and other families around the world, they can rebuild their lives while they wait and work for the political change that must come. But it can only come from us, my friends. And we really want to invite you to take part and see how it goes. Muhammad, anything else today?
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. And thanks a lot for the people who used to watch us in this program.
Yes, so we'll wrap it there. I'm going to put as much information to make it easy for people to begin if they wish under the more info part of this video here on YouTube. And again, the website where we're going to be publishing pictures of before, during, and after the rebuilding of Muhammad's house will be at jackdempseywriter.wordpress.com. Jack Dempsey, writer@wordpress.com. You spell it just like the name of the great boxing champion, to whom I am not related. So thank you so much, everyone around the world, for hearing us out today. We hope you're as excited as we are about the project. Muhammad, God bless you and all your beautiful family. Don't work too hard on the new house, but we will be checking again soon, and we may even find a way to show pictures of the work here on Zoom itself.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.